Hey everybody! Finally, a time where I remember to turn my mic on as soon as things start. Hey to, let's see, Super Mega Smith, Matrix Biped Artist, Joshua Dunk. I feel like I don't recognize a lot of the names in here today. Tommy G, Super Mega Smith says, I watched all of Vanishing Point this week because it's Thursday. No, not really. I found out it ended last year, and so I just finally got to it. Well, hey, thanks for watching regardless. I've had a lot of people lately asking to bring the show back, so maybe after I get moved into a new place later this year, that might be something to consider. Hello from Dominic Ricci and Mercy Guyan, and RB Pollock. Hey. Well, thanks for all of y'all for being here today. We are hopping back into Justice League Speed Trap Chapter 8 today. Let's see. No offense, but I never noticed how pale you are until you shaved the beard. Right? It's that's the Seattle sun for you, you know, and the lack thereof. But yeah, we're jumping back into Chapter 8 of Speed Trap today. Last week, the entire Justice League got mind controlled by monkeys. Had a pretty funny reveal for that when Martian Manhunter did it. It's pronounced Gian. Okay, gotcha. Now I know. Until I forget, but I'm gonna try not to. But I am a forgetful boy. But yeah, so let me just go ahead, hop back over to the I guess the next thing, so y'all can see the book and everything. Oh fuck! I forgot I had Shadow there from last week. Oh, that was a whole thing. Let me get him out of the way. Let me see. Remove Shadow. Yes. There we go. There I am. Oh no, wait, what the my window capture's not here. I literally just made sure it was here, and now it's saying that it's not here. Hold on. What in the world? Okay. Can y'all see it? So it is there now. So if I flip back over to the book, okay, so it is here. I don't know what that was for, but now we got it. Can't wait for DC Fandom 2. Oh, true, they did announce that the other day. Did they announce any of like the panels or anything yet? I don't think they did. I think they just announced the event itself. But yeah, that's gonna be fun. We got a couple new like DCAU shorts out of last year's, so maybe we can get some more. But yeah, let's go ahead. Let's I believe Flash is on his way to Gorilla City, where everybody has been brainwashed by monkeys, and he's coming to fix it up. So let's get into that. Flash flipped the cloaking control switch on the Javelin 7's console. The steel blue ship was surrounded for a second by a shimmering halo of light. It seemed to vanish. Flash stepped out of his now hidden transport, seeming to materialize in mid-air 8 feet up, and clambered to the grassy plain. It was twilight, and the surrounding jungle was eerily silent. The speedster moved with equally quiet caution up a trampled path in the tall grass. According to the Javelin scanners, Gorilla City was a half-mile to the west. Though he couldn't see it yet, he headed in that direction, keeping to the shadows. Oh shit, I should have kept Shadow. I goofed, everybody. Flash is keeping the shadows. I should have kept the shadow. The sound of heavy footsteps alerted Flash, and he flattened against the trunk of a large nearby tree. 2 heavily armed ape sentries walked toward him down the path, talking quietly. Flash waited, barely breathing. The apes lumbered past without noticing him. After a beat, Flash stepped back onto the path and headed for Gorilla City. He hadn't gotten 10 feet before he heard a croaking shout behind him. "Halt, intruder! In the name of Grodd! Stop!" Flash risked a glance over his shoulder, only to see the ape sentries running his way. One had his weird rifle pointed right at the stunned speedster. The gun barked a low, guttural sound as it was fired. Flash could see a blazing projectile the size of a billiard ball. Billboard ball? What is a billboard ball? Just an entire billboard pushed into a ball. Oh, hey, Amy, how's it going? Vanishing Point was great. Also, my friend, I got them to watch the channel, and they watched the episode on LGBTQ representation, and they said it made them feel less alone. Well, that's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that. There was a lot of anxiety going into writing that one, yeah, and so like I'm glad that that it's touched, you know, people and made them feel something, feel good, you know. Feel less alone. Right? Specifically what you said. Where were we? Billboard ball. A billiard ball zooming his way. He stepped aside just in time. Behind Flash, a tree exploded into flaming toothpicks. He dropped and rolled quickly into the underbrush. The apes ran closer, raising their rifles to the firing position. Flash dodged and ran clumsily through the low growth. How ignominious for the fastest man alive to be sprinting like an out-of-shape commuter running it for a bus. The sounds of 2 more shots echoed in the damp night air. More explosions erupted right at the Flash's heels. At this rate, he was not going to get away. I really enjoy that Brian Augustin, like, in this has been like, yeah, I know it's a kid's book, but I'm gonna use big words like ignominious. Oh! I did not know that if you highlight a word on Kindle, it gives you the definition. Deserving or causing public disgrace or shame. No other party risked ignominious defeat. There we go. Vanishing Point was my favorite show on Watchtower Database. I was a bit sad to see it go. And finding out Jay used to edit it was just the icing on the cake. Yeah, he came in and did a handful of episodes for us. I think, God, I don't even remember why it was, but like James was just like feeling like he was falling behind on things and pulled Jay in to be like, hey, do the thing. I'm currently panicking over whatever is going on with Gotham right now. How are you doing? I saw the screenshot of like, what was it, like an Instagram story or something. I don't really know much of anything about Gotham though, so like I've watched like the first couple episodes and just never followed through, but it is on my watch list and I intend to get to it eventually. I'm kind of trying to save like all of the live action DC stuff for like towards the tail end, so I can just finally be like, look, sissy, we don't have anything else here, just watch the DC stuff. But we'll see how that goes. Flash stumbled over unseen rocks. He grabbed at the bole of a tree for balance. Winded, sore, and frustrated, Flash was sure he was too slow to escape his coming doom. The barking sound rang out again, closer this time. The blazing sphere rocketed right for his head. Instinctively, Flash shifted into speed mode and just ran flat out, a scarlet blur. He outpaced the projectile easily. Flash zoomed, putting serious distance between him and his hunters, until the pain gripped his muscles like a crushing fist and dropped him writhing into the dirt. The flaming shell exploded over his head. In the excitement, he had forgotten his newfound curse, and it had nearly ripped him apart. With the still raw, hot agony throbbing through his system, Flash wasn't sure actually being shredded wouldn't be a relief. The ape sentries thundered toward him, set on bagging their prey. Flash lay aching in the dirt, hidden by the weeds and brush around him, but only temporarily. Nearby, many small stones and rocks were scattered. Wrapping his red-gloved hands around a few of these, Flash became inspired. He couldn't use his speed to run, perhaps, but he could still access his speed in other ways. Or access speed, not his speed. Flash crouched uncomfortably in the weeds, a good-sized pile of stones gathered within easy reach at his side. He whirled his arm in a super swift arc and fired a stone at the approaching gorillas. As if released from his slingshot, the stone flew fast and hard to smash into the matted fur of one ape's blocky head. Startled, the ape stumbled and cried out in pain. Before either gorilla could respond, a hail of rocks hurtled their way like bullets from an AK-47. The barrage of stones pummeled the apes mercilessly. Driving them to their knees, they screamed in pain. Flash rose, his sweeping arm still whisking stone after stone at his enemies. They might have been tough, but repeated shots to their craniums sent them quickly to a very painful dreamland. A scarlet-garbed David had easily taken out 2 hairy Goliaths, armed only with stones and an unerring aim. Flash left his fallen adversaries and headed for Gorilla City at a trot. He soon came to a clearing and saw something lying discarded in the weeds. Batman's bat binoculars, or whatever he called his viewing device. The Flash didn't want to think about what could have made Batman drop it. But holding the lenses up to his eyes, he quickly discovered that his questions about finding a way into the gorilla's secret home had been answered. I've seen all of Gotham, and it's fun to see how they play with the lore from time to time. Yeah, I'm really interested into like really diving into it and seeing what's going on with it. I enjoyed what little bit I saw of Penguin, and I think Riddler at some point, I think. But otherwise, I just do not know a lot about the show at all. What could have made Batman drop it? A sneeze. He has allergies. True. There's actually a DCAU tie-in comic that was like packed with allergy medicine, where it was Tim with the allergies though, and not Batman, but wasn't very helpful in a fight against Poison Ivy. Let's see, where was I? Through the lenses, which were ultra sensitive to the light wavelengths, Flash could see a glowing orange energy barrier. Not far away was a gap in the otherwise unbroken expanse. "Thanks, Bats," Flash murmured. "I'll see to it you get these back, pal." Flash entered Gorilla City cautiously. He anticipated conflict and had already devised several response options. He chuckled grimly to himself. He was finally thinking ahead, and Green Lantern was nowhere around to be impressed. Flash hoped they'd both... I'm slipping over my words. Flash hoped they'd both live long enough to celebrate this great leap in his personal development. A long road paved with large octagonal slabs led from the gate into the city. No one was in sight, but Flash knew better than to assume he was alone. He moved stealthily from shadows to shadow. They keep bringing shadow. You know what? Let's do it this way. Oh, hey, Andrew. How's it going? Let's see. Where did I put my shadow? Add a new source instead. Add source. Give me... Where did I save him? Where did I save Shadow the Hedgehog? There he is. There he is. Let's flip him. He's got to fit my head. Let's flip him. Nope, that's not the flip I wanted. And then one more flip vertical back. There we go. Shrink him back down. There we go. Now where were we? The word shadow. He moved stealthily from shadow to shadow, keeping close to the trees. Several well-armed ape flunkies guarded the main building, but Flash could tell they weren't paying attention to the job. Damn! There we go. That's enough shadow, I think. Let's get him back out of here. That was enough of him. Chaos control. That's how I ended the last stream. Where was I? Shadow. Bored, they grumbled and squabbled among themselves. All the same, Flash would have to go through them to gain entrance to the inner compound. Not long ago, he could have moved past them, faster than any eye could follow. A breeze would have been the only evidence of his passage, but that time was past. Now, Flash reminded himself he had to do this the hard and human way. But he was not completely without speed. Flash stepped out onto the tiled walkway, calling to the gorilla warriors. Slowly, stupidly, they looked up, surprised at the appearance of an intruder. They practically fell over each other in the scramble to react. From their vantage point, the ape guards saw only a tall, slim man in a red uniform and mask standing absolutely still. They could not see that his yellow-booted feet were moving at incredible blurring speed. Flash focused only on his task, ignoring the pain. He could feel creeping into his leg muscles. He couldn't keep this up for long. Flash looked down to the walkway. The vibrations he was generating with his feet were beginning to transfer to the tiles. Flash shifted his position slightly and changed the focus on his constant vibration. The tiles shook, then rattled, and finally began to jump. In a spreading wave of reaction, the vibrations rippled toward the startled guards. Ugh. The large earthen slabs being swept along swiftly. Suddenly, the apes fell back as the heavy tiles were blasted at them in a thundering tidal wave. Barraged by flying slabs, the gorillas were battered and soon flattened under the stream of pummeling paving. Flash stopped in his tracks, his legs already throbbing painfully. He felt exhausted, but he couldn't rest yet. He had only begun his campaign against Gorilla Grodd's schemes. Flash limped to the doors of the main pavilion, past the scattered forms of the unconscious guards. His body felt as though it were made of rigid, heavy concrete. Focus past the pain, he repeated over and over to himself. It almost worked. At the massive doors, Flash listened for sounds of activity on the other side. He could hear only the distant drones of voices. Nothing close by. He eased the door open and slipped inside silently. The speedster found himself in an open atrium, empty for the moment of any signs of life. Down a central concourse, he could still hear the droning voice. Grodd! Flash ground out. Okay, so really quick, we don't really have a lot to add yet. Did we already mention the Javelin 7? No. So the Javelin 7 needs to be added to the notes, and then he specifically called them what? Binoculars? That's an item. And then for pop culture, I'm gonna say David and Goliath. David and Goliath were mentioned through narration. Okay, so that's not too much. Do you think Flash has a little butt flap on his outfit so he can go to the bathroom while on duty? Do any of the superheroes have that? Right? Superman wears a onesie with underwear over it. I think Batman's thing is kind of a onesie too. Likely not due to the banter with Superman from the beginning of A Better World. I don't remember that banter. Yeah. What was the banter at the start of A Better World, Andrew? I'm blanking on it right now. My memory hates me. Oh. Batman definitely has an emergency butt flap, but he calls it the bat flap, so it's different. In the vast council chamber, Grodd busied himself by running his followers through pointless military exercises, lining them up first in one formation, then another. Grodd was bored, his troops were weary, and the spectators remained frozen in mental oppression. The doors to the outer hall began to rumble and shake. Grodd and his guards looked up. What was this? The wooden doors exploded inward in a pelting rain of splintering debris. Grodd's goons yelped in unified terror as their leader glared in disbelief at the bizarre intrusion. Who dares intrude? Grodd bellowed. The guy who always mops the floor with your furry behind, Grodzy. Me! Flash said as he stepped fearlessly into the great hall. The speedster smiled his trademark impertinent smile. Grodd stared in disbelief, rage bubbling in his eyes like boiling lava. Flash walked casually forward, looking around as if he hadn't a care in the world. His gaze fell on his trapped comrades, and while his heart sank in his chest at the sight, his light manner never flagged. "Ah, collecting life-size action figures, are you?" Flash smiled, gesturing toward the frozen Justice League. "You dare face me alone and powerless, you puny idiot!" Grodd sputtered. "Ah, go eat a banana, monkey boy. Who says I'm powerless?" Grodd glared, suddenly suspicious. Flash smiled derisively at the ape despot. "The weather wizard shot you, that's Grodd. The weather wizard shot you with the weapon I gave him. Your muscles are bound up in an unbreakable matrix of crushing energy." "That was you, eh?" Flash said. "Big surprise. Well, I ask you, if I were powerless, could I do this?" Flash raised his arms and began to spin in place like a human top, going faster and faster, blurring into a spinning splash of scarlet. The whirling hero began to move into the room as Grodd ordered his guards to action. "Stop him!" roared Grodd. Flash's arms rotated like a propeller, punishing any ape who got too close. His whirling momentum scattered the gorillas like toys. Flash tore through the room like a human tornado. Grodd hopped and shook his huge fists, spitting in wild fury. Flash felt the waves of pain pounding against his limbs. He was in trouble and knew it. He had to free his friends before his body seized up. His whirling form abruptly changed direction and headed for the imprisoned members of the Justice League. Grodd screamed orders to his battered forces. In the end, none of apes laid a leathery finger... I assume none of the apes? None of apes. None of apes. New OC. The Holy Roman Catholic Church of Apes. And there is a nun of apes. That's the new OC. We got an ape nun. None of apes laid a leathery finger on Flash. They didn't need to. In a sudden spasm of agony, Flash spun out of control. He skidded wildly across the floor to crash into the far wall, collapsing in a moaning heap, every fiber of his being ablaze with excruciating torment. At Grodd's command, a squad of thugs fell on Flash's inert form and began to pound the fallen hero with abandon. Flash was so far past caring or feeling that all of their punishing efforts were wasted. Grodd watched with grim satisfaction. Not really a lot to note there. Does Superman even have to use the bathroom? I would assume so. I would think so. But maybe not as often. Maybe his metabolism is helpful for that. Like alien metabolism makes it so he doesn't have to as often. I know he still has to shave. Flash apparently wasn't on his post because there are some things Flash can't do. Oh, okay, gotcha. I see what you're saying. Okay, chapter 9. Hey, give me a second real fast. I'm gonna run to the restroom. Sissy, decided to switch coffee brands, and it's a lot, and it's running through me real fast. So I'm gonna be right back, y'all. Hey, I'm back! Sorry that took a second, y'all. Sissy's laughing at me from the living room right now, and I'm upset at her. This coffee does not sit well with me. We went from like regular ass Folgers to an espresso blend, and it's a lot. What did I miss while I was gone? Hey Maddie, if you want James' head to explode, have him watch Batman Zeller's toy commercial and also Superman nicotine commercials. I think we've seen the Zellers one before. That sounds familiar, but I don't know anything about the nicotine one. But I'll look into that for sure. How long is this chapter? I'm just, okay, it's not too terribly long. I'm just like not wanting to, like, you know, with my stomach being a little upset, I don't want to force myself to do more than I can. But I think we'll be good. It's a pretty short chapter. I think James is still thinking through the fullest implications of Rich Fogel's comments about Zeta and Crypto being about equal in canonicity. All right. Where were we? Chapter 9. The start of Chapter 9 is where we were. Flash had no idea how long he had been unconscious. The pain that was his constant companion blurred his awareness considerably. He might have been out for a century, or a second. In fact, it was the next morning when Flash opened his eyes and remembered his failure of the night before. His friends were still in Grodd's thrall. Flash winced in pain and shame. The ape maniac would get away with his mad scheme, and no one could stop him. Certainly, Flash had learned that he would not be the one to put Grodd down. Flash looked around to find himself imprisoned within a glass cube. Outside, Grodd's loyalists milled around and looked at him with naked curiosity and overt contempt. A smile was too far beyond Flash's abilities, but he appreciated the irony all the same. He had been put in a zoo by gorillas. Flash attempted to rise, but could not. None of his muscles would respond. He was as helpless as an infant and about as powerful. Flash grimaced and closed his eyes. He had never known that he could hurt as much as he did right then. Let them gawk, Flash thought. It had all depended on him. Flash chided himself for thinking he could take on any villain without his powers, let alone a monster like Grodd. It had been a nice idea that he might have had such a deep reserve of character and courage that he would save the day no matter what. That had been a naive dream, and now he was wide awake. Flash realized that it was all a joke. What he had inside was exactly nothing. Wonder Woman had gotten it wrong. He wasn't more than just his ability. He was far less. He had feared this awful truth all along, but had tried to tough it out in hopes of saving his teammates. Now everything was worse, and he was a captive too. If he'd been smart, Flash thought, he would have called in someone who could have actually helped. Aquaman, perhaps, or one of the world's other heroes. Instead, he had tried to go it alone and blown it, and there's a period there. That's where the sentence stops. He had tried to go it alone and blown it. There we go. If only Wonder Woman had been right.
Any ideas?
The crowd of simian spectators outside his cell suddenly parted and moved away. Flash opened his eyes. Something big was coming, or rather, he realized, someone big. Grodd. Flash would not give the gorilla the satisfaction of seeing him flattened. With every ounce of will he could summon, Flash dragged himself to his feet, steadying himself against the dizzying pain and nausea that swept over him. He leaned as casually as he could against the translucent wall of his cage. He barely managed to look alive. His face was deathly pale. His expression was tight and drawn, and cold sweat ran down his back. Flash and Grodd stared at each other. Flash stayed as steady as he could and did not blink. Grodd's face showed contempt and barely concealed amusement. "It appears you need someone to tell you when to lie down and stay dead, Flash," Grodd rumbled. "And someone should tell you that you need the world's biggest breath mint," said Flash, "and that's through the glass." "Jeer on, buffoon. I know you are beaten, and you know it too." Grodd gestured, and two of his apes stepped forward and swung open one end of the glass enclosure. Flash was too weak to do anything but watch. The two apes stepped in cautiously and took the hero by his arms. He did not resist.
Take the fool outside. I have an entertainment tailored just for him.
I've seen Planet of the Apes, Flash sneered. Heck, I'm living it.
Shut up!
Roared Grodd. Take your paws off me, you dang dirty apes.
We'll see how much you laugh, Flash, said Grodd, as you watch your beloved Justice League being fed to the flames.
So there's a couple things to note there. I wonder if Mansoor Malla from Teen Titans and Doom Patrol exists in the DCAU, and if he ever teamed up with Grodd. I think he's in a couple tie-in comics, if I'm remembering correctly, but I'm not like too sure off the top of my head. Oh, hey Levi, how's it going? How do you feel about Finish Infinity Train being number 3 on trending right now? It was number 1 when I made the Watchtower database tweet to add on to it. Bummed that it's moving down, but you know, it's exciting to see that there's so many people just really adamantly in love with that show. It's a beautiful show, and I would love to see more of it. And I'm hoping that that the fan outcry is enough to get it done. Let's see. Flash has seen Planet of the Apes. And the take your paws off me, you dang dirty apes. I know is a quote. Was that from Planet of the Apes, or was he quoting take your paws off me? There we go. Okay. Okay, so it is a Planet of the Apes thing. The 1968 one. Okay. Assumedly 1968. Instead of, what was it, like Tim Burton? Was it Tim Burton that did the like 2000s Planet of the Apes? I read about a confrontation between Grodd and Malla that takes place in one of the comics. Malla thought they should stick together because they're both really smart gorillas, but Grodd didn't see it that way. Hold on, yeah, let me see. Mansoor. Oh, I guess I looked up Mansoor Malla not too long ago. Mansoor Malla DCAU. Malla DCAU. Okay, yeah, so he shows up twice. Justice League Adventures number 6 and Justice League Unlimited 31. I don't know Justice League Unlimited 31, but Justice League Adventures number 6 is a really interesting one. Kronos essentially captured the Justice League and had them frozen and was trying to sell them at an auction to, I guess, like other villains. That Aquaman reference is a bit suspect. I guess he's on the League in JLU, but the DCAU version isn't one of the first heroes that you'd think Flash would think of in a bind. Well, I mean, so the way I'm thinking about it is like I know that there are other heroes around in the DCAU, right? Like by this time we for sure know about Etrigan and Dr. Fate, and I'm trying to think Kyle Rayner. And there might be like 1 or 2 other ones as well. But Aquaman, it is at this point I think was the only one that like had a feature in a Justice League episode yet. So it'd be one of the only ones that like we know for sure Flash is aware of existing. So that's the way I'm reading it at least. Flash was dragged to a vast grassy plain beyond the buildings of Gorilla City. It looked like a field prepared for a tournament, and in a way it was. His captors tied Flash securely to a tree. From there, he could look out over the huge space. But why? Already, a huge crowd of enthralled Gorilla City citizens was making its way out to watch whatever was about to transpire. Another crowd of Grodd's followers was assembling as well. Grodd himself strode as regally as his massive and ungainly simian form could manage. Behind him, a large vehicle moved slowly. From Flash's limited point of view, it looked something like a tank with a huge ray cannon situated atop the turret. At the distant edge of the flat grounds, Flash could see a cluster of indistinct figures. He didn't need to make them out clearly to know that it was the Justice League. Flash began to see the developing outlines of Grodd's vile intentions. It wasn't going to be pretty. Flash dropped his head, his pain so great that he could barely focus on the moment. He was as helpless as a fly in a spider's web. But his teammates were in even more trouble. They needed him, and Flash wouldn't be able to raise even a feeble finger to help. He grimaced. He was such a loser. Grodd was suddenly standing at Flash's side. I have to give you credits. Oh, shit, that's my Grodd voice.
I have to give you credit, Speedster,
Grodd said.
You have come farther than I had anticipated you would, or could have. Your determination impresses me.
Flash tried to ignore the ape's sneering words, but they echoed in his ears. How, is that still Grodd? Yeah.
However, we both know that you're finished. The next time you use your speed, it will kill you. If you are even still capable of achieving any velocity at all.
Flash winced. The truth of his enemy's words burned in his heart.
You have tried, but you have failed, Flash. Now you will witness my utter and ultimate triumph over the Justice League.
The huge tank thundered onto the plain, stopping to face the inherent heroes, thousands of yards distant. Or inert heroes, not inherent, my bad. The large chrome and glass barrel of the ray cannon swiveled to aim at the helpless targets. Already, the ray device was humming as it built up its charge. A too bright crimson glow emanated from the cannon's works. Flash stared at this sight with sick realization. Grodd smiled widely.
That monstrous device is a laser cannon, Flash,
said Grodd.
Its beam is as hot as the sun. It will easily reduce even Superman to ash.
You don't have opposable thumbs, Banana Breath. There's no way you'll pull this off, shouted Flash, but his taunt sounded hollow, even to his own ears.
A laser beam moves at the speed of light, you know, Flash,
said the villainous ape.
The only one fast enough to save them is you. But oh, your power will kill you if you try.
Behind them, the cannon's hum built to a shrill whine as its power level intensified. In seconds, a beam of killing light would shoot out and destroy the Justice League. The Flash struggled weakly against his bonds. I remember the real Black Manta appears in the tie-in comics. That sounds about right. Yeah, no, Devil Ray was created because they couldn't use Black Manta. My Grodd voice is not my Batman.
My Batman is up here. My Grodd is down here.
They're different voices. Let's see. No, that makes sense. He is one of the few to appear. I just see DCAU Aquaman as more king than a superhero, as he kind of attacks humanity in both the Fish story and the enemies. Yeah, I suppose that's fair. Where was I? Behind them, the cannon's hum built to a shrill whine as its power level intensified. In seconds, a beam of killing light would shoot out and destroy the Justice League. The Flash struggled weakly against his bonds.
I love irony, don't you, Flash?
Asked Grodd.
Only you could save them, if you were not forced to stand helplessly by while they are vaporized.
Shut up!
I imagine that you must despise yourself for your weakness. After witnessing this horrific spectacle, you will no doubt long for your own demise.
Flash glared at Grodd. He said nothing.
I will likely grant that desire, Flash. Rest assured. But first, you will watch your friends die!
Flash saw red. His breath came in short, ragged gasps, and his chest tightened painfully. He was every bit as helpless as Grodd said. There was nothing he could do to save them. The Justice Leaguers were going to die, and he couldn't move to stop it. Again, he tugged fruitlessly on his stout bonds. Grodd strode imperiously onto the field, his long arm raised.
Prepare to fire on my signal,
Grodd commanded. No, no! Flash cried out. He surged pointlessly against the ropes. The ray cannon was glowing with coruscating scarlet light. The barrels seemed almost molten, with barely contained destructive fire. An ear-splitting keening filled the air, and the whole tank shuddered with the buildup of power. Grodd's arm dropped. The cannon fired. The intense ruby beam blasted forward at the speed of light. Flash screamed. The beam blazed inexorably toward its target. By the way, is DCAU Aquaman full Atlantean instead of also being half human? That's the impression that I get. I don't think we ever got any of the half human stuff. I don't know when that was like introduced in the comics, so I'm not sure if there was like a reason at the time to make him half human. It was kind of like a New 52 thing, right? I'm at least I'm guessing. How short is this next chapter? We still got like 10 minutes. I don't know. Let me think. Was there anything else that I missed as far as notes go? I don't think so. I think that's everything from chapter 9. How many chapters do we have left on the... Because, like, I would hate to get to a point where, like, I accidentally leave myself with only one chapter left. Where is... Chapter 10, then we have 11, 12, and epilogue. Okay, so if I read chapter 10 now, let me do that, then I will have chapters 11, 12, and epilogue next time, and we can probably like finish the book off next time. I believe Aqua's half-humanness has been canon for the entire time he's existed. That's possible. Like I said, I'm not too keen on his comic book history, so that could be a thing. But it is never touched upon in the DCAU. Where does this fit in the timeline? It fits sometime during Justice League, after Grodd is brought in. They said they've encountered Grodd multiple times, so it might be after Secret Society, but there's not really like a lot to tell, especially if like Grodd appearances from like tie-in comics or anything fit in. So who knows? Why wasn't DCAU Aquaman a founding member? So he was actually planned to be. Hold on. Let me see if I can find really quick. Let me get into my Google Drive. This has to be after The Brave and the Bold and before The Return. Yeah, it's definitely during Justice League time, so it's way before The Return. It's before JLU. Let's see, Wizard JLA special, and then okay, here it is. Here it is. I found it. So back when they were developing Superman the Animated Series, there was an idea to make it Superman and the Justice League. And the production, the producer, not Bruce Timm, but like the Warner Bros. Like person was just like, no, that's, you know, not giving Superman the respect he deserves. But the JLA lineup was going to include Flash, Jon Stewart, Orion, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Light Ray, Supergirl, Black Lightning, Question. God, what is her name? Nightshade? Is that Nightshade? A number of... They include... Light Ray, Black Lightning, The Question, Dr. Fate, Mr. Miracle. I know that's Vixen. Supergirl, Nightshade. Yes, that is Nightshade. Okay. So that's what the Justice League was going to look like for the... just those 2 pages. Was going to look like... Oh, and I guess there's more over here. Green Arrow, Black Canary, Hawkman, Hawkgirl. But they said, no, this is a Superman show, not a Justice League show. Wait, you're reading chapter 10 right now? I might as... I feel like I might as well... Because if I don't, then I'm just going to end up... I'll just have to read all of the end next week regardless, so that I don't just leave myself with, just the epilogue. I remember they nerfed Wonder Woman to try to make Aquaman look badass after Super Friends made him look lame. Thank God they didn't shaft Supes in his own show. Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to see, a gradual build-up to the Justice League within that show. That would have been an interesting thing to do. But, just with how rough the first season of Justice League was anyway, and the fact that once they got the call to start doing more Batman, and Bruce Timm realized having Bruce and Dick and Tim and Barbara all together in a fight scene together was complicated and made him not ever want to do Justice League until 4 or 5 years later. I can't imagine that it would have ended up being any good had they tried to do Justice League earlier. But I like those designs and I want to see them in action. Why was Aquaman different in Superman the Animated Series? He wasn't different in Superman the Animated Series. He was different in Justice League. Superman the Animated Series came first. And the reason he was different in Justice League was because they wanted to beef him up even more. But yeah, let's go ahead. Let's do chapter 10. Let's just do it. The moment the laser was triggered, Flash's perspective shifted into super fast awareness. What he saw was like a series of still images, one atop the other. The cannon glowed. A blazing beam inched forward. The beam stretched first several feet, then 10. Thanks to his speed, it would seem to take forever for the Leaguers to meet their inevitable doom. Flash felt a strange vibration building within him. It was more powerful than anything he had ever experienced. He didn't know exactly what it was, but he loved the flood of power that surged through him as the vibration escalated. He looked at Grodd, but the ape was as frozen as everything else. Only Flash, which is like OnlyFans, but for Flash, only Flash seemed to be moving, and he was moving. To his own surprise, the exhilarating vibration had completely overtaken Flash's body. Pain seemed to melt away, as did the ropes that held him bound to the tree. Oh shit, are we gonna get Speed Force? Are we gonna get him tapping into the Speed Force before before he does Injustice League Unlimited? That's interesting seeing a DCAU Green Hood. I feel like I read that one. I thought you were only going to 1 p.m. You know what? Sometimes things just be the way to do. Let's see. The exhilarating vibration had completely overtaken Flash's body. Pain seemed to melt away, as did the ropes that held him bound to the tree. I read that part already. Flash felt himself float forward, feeling lighter and buoyed by the strange, effervescent energy that erupted throughout his system. The laser beam was like a still picture. Now it had extended itself over about 20 yards. Flash flowed forward, swept along. He really likes alliteration in these, a lot. He keeps doing it. Flash flowed forward, swept along by the newfound swiftness. There was a glitch in the smoothness of Flash's forward momentum, as Grodd's speed-choking energy asserted itself. Distantly, the speedster was aware of pain, but it was as if that agony belonged to someone else. Flash blasted forward, still behind the laser beam, but gaining quickly. Flash's metabolism was rocked by wave after wave of crushing destructive energy, but it did not stop him. The pain hammered at the surging hero. Like a gong timed to his racing heartbeat, the ravaging energy rent his nerves like ragged threads and smashed and shattered his molecules. The twisting, jagged power closed on his very being like a vice. Flash's atoms screamed in pain and violation, but still he raced on. So Flash defeats the situation where he can't go fast by going fast, right? Absolutely. I remember Bruce Timm hated anything digital and 3D, and he didn't like Batman Beyond being digitally painted until TMS blew him away with Return of the Joker, and in JLU he didn't like 3D vehicles. Yeah, I'm personally not a fan of the digital painting on Batman Beyond either. I feel like it works for Return of the Joker, but I don't think it works really well for the show itself. You look at that first season and see all like the hand-painted stuff and how it's really grainy, even up through like a couple episodes of the second season as well, and then all of a sudden it's just all bright and like vibrant, and it's not the same feel that the show had. Does Earbird Thawne exist in the DCAU? He's in some of the tie-in stuff, so... Well, I think he's in more than just that one issue of Justice League Adventures. I think he showed up in like in some of the Capstone tie-in books, which like are a bit more shaky. Blue Beetle's gonna be in the he's gonna be in the Justice League Infinity book that's coming out next month. Racing ever faster, Flash moved beyond the pain, slipping past and away from the deadly energy that was entwined in every aspect of his reality. As the speedster rushed onward, he could feel the crushing tightness, loosening its grip. He was outracing Grodd's curse. In awe, Flash looked down at himself as he zoomed. It was as if he could see through his own solid flesh. He watched the surging blue lightning ripping through his cells, but by now he felt nothing. The rampant energy pulsed and writhed within him. But his own physicality was changing somehow. That energy was beginning to stream away in unfurling tatters. He raced on effortlessly, the lancing beam still ahead. Flash felt lighter, almost immaterial. Everything he saw was haloed with brilliant, glittering scarlet light. Something was happening. It was if Flash was becoming pure speed. But what did that mean? And how was he doing it? Flash seemed to be no more than red and gold, smoke swept along by a super swift wind. He blasted forward, drawing closer and closer to the beam. Now Flash had lost all sense of his physical self. He felt more alive and powerful than ever before, but he still wondered if he was dying. Perhaps he already died. Maybe he was a speeding ghost. The crawling blue energy that bound his metabolism could not keep up. It was slipping harmlessly through the speedster's almost ethereal form. What little remained of it blew away in his wake like so much flashing blue exhaust. The energy had no more power over him. He was no longer the man who had been its unwilling host. He raced on and on, already as fast as light, and accelerating even more. Flash had transcended his body, leaving his corporeal form behind like a fading crimson memory. He had become an accelerating cloud of molecules, loosely bound by what little sense of self remained within. Pain, fear, regret. What in the world? Pain, fear, regret, and inadequacy were stripped away, replaced by an unstoppable strength of purpose. All that mattered was completing the mission at hand. Save the Justice League. The concept flashed word by word, like neon within Flash's expanding awareness. He was an arrow. They were the target. I remember Gendy Tartakovsky also had the same problem when he was working on Samurai Jack. He didn't like it when they had to use any digital effects. I could see that being the case. The laser beam was now only a dozen yards from frying the trapped heroes, but Flash was only a few feet behind it. He surged forward, faster and faster. Flash could feel air rushing through his being as he raced on. His vision was transformed even further, every object starkly clear in its absolute stillness. But all was now surrounded by auras of vivid and shimmering red radiance. He no longer saw things in the normal three-dimensional reality somehow. In the normal three-dimensional reality. Somehow, Flash could see what was ahead as if from multiple perspectives. In what little self-awareness he had left, he idly wondered if he would ever be able to return to his physical humanity again. It would be worth it if he were to remain in this transformed reality forever. He had earlier exulted in the joy of his speed, but now he had become the speed. Now he felt the joy blazing through him like chain lightning. As his ego vaporized in transit, he realized that none of those thoughts mattered. Flash didn't matter. Saving the Justice League was everything. Beyond completing that task, there was nothing else. Beyond that, the remaining piece of Flash's individual consciousness understood in a blaze of awareness he would achieve completion. But what did that mean? Ahead, the Leaguers stood frozen in the face of the oncoming beam of deadly scarlet heat. Flash was faster than the laser now, like a beam of light himself. Flash zoomed right at his friends. The 6 heroes stood, surrounded and contained within the coruscating scarlet light. They were not conscious, but on the level that Flash's power moved, there was some inexplicable communication. Flash was coming. His friends understood. The energy that had been the Flash smashed into the frozen figures of his heroic teammates. His essence washed over them in exploding, crashing waves of pulsing, cascading power and light. The blazing speed energy shattered the forces that held them bound. It revived and energized them. It pushed them to safety before they even knew what was happening. It whisked them away and out of sight. Then the fading scarlet radiance winked out completely. Only a shimmering residue in the air showed that anything had been there at all. The sizzling laser beam hit the grass where the captive league had been only a millisecond before. The ground exploded in a ball of immense heat and fire, heaving and flashing immediately into ash and smoke. A deep blackened trench and a deeper smoking crater where all that remained, a crid haze filled the air. From where Grodd stood, it appeared as though his murderous plot had been wildly successful. He had vaporized the Justice League. He turned to gloat to his other captive, but Flash was gone. The ropes that had held him were tied exactly as they had been, but the super fast hero had vanished. How?
Where is Flash?
Bellowed the huge ape in rage. So I'm gonna at least put in the non-canon, it seems Flash accesses the Speed Force. Double check against this occurring in JLU. Hold on, I missed some of y'all's messages. Flash takes the target metaphor literally and bashes his face against the Justice League's chest. In the JLU episode, The Greatest Story Ever Told, Firestorm was going to appear. Has anyone heard of that? Yes! Yes! Firestorm and the Professor were going to be voiced by John H. Benjamin, John H. Is it John H. Benjamin or is it H. John Benjamin? I'm like blanking right now. The guy who plays Archer and Bob from Bob's Burgers and the coach from Home Movies, all that stuff. He was going to be one of the voices, and the other voice was going to be the guy that plays Dr. Katz from like the old 90s sitcom, animated sitcom situation. So that could have been fun, but alas. I think one of the things that they had an issue with was more so than a Firestorm not fitting the story, was that they didn't know how to do the professor at the time. And before Flash explodes, I have to leave now. Therapy appointment. Hey, take it easy, crazy duplicate. Have you heard that guy who voiced Green Arrow showed up dressed as his character for recording? I haven't heard that. That's an interesting one. The Flash is gone, said the still-dazed Wonder Woman. He gave his life to save ours. The Leaguers stood in the brush where the Scarlet Light wave had carried them. They were all still reeling from their ordeal and the realization of how they had been saved.
I think you're right,
said Superman gravely. I have the vague impression that he became pure light. At least at the last moment, he exploded into us and set us free. By the gods of Mars, said the Martian Manhunter, I believe you are essentially correct, at least as far as we can grasp what has happened. Poor Flash, said Hawkgirl. Green Lantern looked up and around, as if sensing some residual energy in the air, like a static charge.
No, don't feel sorry for him, said the Emerald Crusader. The Flash did what he had to do. I'm sure he more than understood the risks.
Yes, he was a hero, said the Amazon Princess. This is what he was about.
Whatever happened here, we shouldn't let his sacrifice be in vain,
said Batman.
Grodd is still a major threat.
The sound of an ape's startled cry drew Grodd's attention back to the smoke-hazed field. Charging toward him were 6 colorful heroes, definitely alive, evidently well, and frighteningly determined. Grodd could not understand how everything had gone so terribly wrong. He had seen the accursed Justice League reduced to ashes. There was no way they could have escaped their fiery doom. Yet, here they came. But how could this be? How could the unstoppable will of Grodd be so thoroughly routed? There was only one possible answer, but it was even more impossible than the Justice League's survival.
Flash!
Snarled Grodd. And that is the end of chapter 10. So not a lot more to add to notes. That potential Speed Force thing is really interesting, though. But that's the cliffhanger we're gonna leave off on. Let me see. Whoa, this is just like Panic in the Sky. Have you watched Invincible yet? I have not. I don't have Amazon. I'm wondering, Panic in the Sky. So this is based on a story idea by Rich Fogel and Andrew Kreisberg. I wonder if they recycled it. If Panic in the Sky, DCAU. Like, was Rich Fogel or Andrew Kreisberg attached to that story? Written by Dwayne McDuffie, directed by Joaquim Dos Santos. So no, it looks like not the case. Rich Fogel. Who knows? Maybe he had like a story credit. Nope, he's not even credited for Justice League Unlimited, at least not on the wiki. That doesn't mean that he didn't, but not on the wiki at least. Maddie Sephiroth has been voiced by a Superman voice actor and a Superman actor, George Newbern and Tyler Hoechlin. Oh, did Tyler do Sephiroth? I knew there were 2 different Supermans that did Sephiroth, and I knew George Newbern was one of them, but I didn't know about Andrew Kreisberg, the Arrowverse mastermind. Yeah, if you wanna call him that. But whenever I googled him, I got this article that doesn't want to load right now. There it goes. Supergirl Arrow producer suspended amid sexual harassment allegations by Warner Bros. So, you know, you can call him a mastermind, but Warner Bros. TV Group has launched an investigation into allegations of inappropriate behavior by Andrew Kreisberg, an executive producer on the CW shows Arrow, Supergirl, The Flash, and DC's Legend of Tomorrow's. Variety has learned. Kreisberg, who has been suspended by the studio, has engaged in a pattern of alleged sexual harassment and inappropriate physical contact over a period of years, according to 15 women and 4 men who have worked with him. So you could call him the Arrowverse mastermind, but I think this is I think this is where I'm gonna leave my my understanding of him as a person. But yeah, I hadn't heard about it either. Apparently, he wrote a couple episodes for like DCAU stuff as well, and so it's weird to see. Here, let me copy his name. What did he do for the DCAU again? He wrote Legends, and he wrote The Greatest Story Never Told. Speaking of the devil. So, you know, there it goes. That's that. But yeah, we are 13 minutes over time, and the chapter's finished. So, I'm probably going to bounce. Y'all take it easy, and I will see you next week.